Coach, a couple days post the FIU win, looking back at the film, what are you most pleased about the way you guys played that night?
Pleased about a lot, John. They present challenges. Again, they turn you over a bunch when they're in transition. They're at their best, and I thought we did a good job of attacking their press. Had some good things happen to us early, and then went on a little stretch where we didn't score. We turned it over, and they were back in the game and had some momentum. And at that time, some guys came off the bench and played really well for us. And it was the first time in a while I felt like this 40 minutes of pretty good basketball on both ends of the floor. And you're always, perfection is elusive, right? It's unaccomplishable, if that's a word. But you're always striving like for your very best. And I felt like our guys had a pursuit of that was really authentic.
Yeah, Kennesaw State for the first time since leaving the Atlantic Sun last time we faced off. It was the class conference championship game. What kind of memories does it bring up seeing Kennesaw on the other sideline? What do you think about when you see that?
Thanks, Bryson. Thanks for the reminder. Anytime you lose a game of such significance, that game was for an NCAA tournament bid. So, and we had a really good team. That was Darius and Kyle, Colin's first year. And to lose that one was tough, but in retrospect, man, I'm really blessed that Amir got to experience the NCAA tournament because, and he went again in South Florida. So Kennesaw, and we kind of developed a rivalry because although I think we had won every time before that year, they beat us twice in a row at their place, and this is the third time in a row that we've gone to Kennesaw. That doesn't happen much. And they've got a really good team. Coach Petway's done a nice job. I think for us, we've been in the mode of just taking one day at a time. Sorry for the coach speak, but and we realize the talent and the system that is formidable that we'll face. But this is what this league's about. And if you're gonna have a chance to advance to the postseason in this league, you're gonna have to go through the hard. And I want to say the two teams you'd have to ask Bill. I think they're like 17-0 combined at home on this road trip. So we're gonna face some pretty confident groups of people.
Pretty wild seeing in your locker room after that win the other night. What does that mean that your guys care enough about something that you've accomplished that they want to celebrate with you like that?
Care enough, or were they like anxious to kind of get
Maybe
back
so.
at me? I've said all along. You guys know you've been in this room a bunch this year and the years prior. That's an incredible group of young men. You can talk about them as athletes and be pretty pleased with the way they perform, but you don't get the daily benefit that we as a staff get to be around the character, the integrity, the selflessness. They're unique. So the fact that they would, I think Gabriel was behind the celebration antics. That's what I'll call them, antics, which obviously his allowance has been suspended for an undisclosed amount of time. It was neat. It was neat that that I got to be a part of the celebration because typically I just want them to experience it. So yes, it was cold, but it was worth it.
Back to Kennesaw, they got two guys averaging 18 a night. How difficult is it to defend them? How much pressure do they put on your defense?
Yeah, Adrian Woolley, like he's a freshman, but he doesn't play like one. Dude's legit. He's a high major player. We pay no respect to his class because he's one of the best players in the league. And then Simeon Cotto's that and we knew it when we played him as a freshman that he was going to be good. So they present a ton of challenges, but they have some other players too that make Kennesaw who they are. And you guys know this just by watching us play. Like you got to guard the whole group. You can't just focus on those two. And again, we've played some really good teams, so our guys will be up for the challenge. Whether or not we can execute better than they can, that's what will be determined on Thursday night. But like I love competition. Like I'm old enough in this that like if you're gonna experience all that you want in a season, you've got to be prepared for it. And when you get games like this, it exposes you for what you need to work on, and that's a good thing. Hopefully, we can learn from it after a W than the alternative. But again, I think I welcome it. I think our guys welcome it, and I'm sure the old what's their battle cry? You don't want to go to war. I'm sure we'll hear that playing once or twice from the band.
It's been a tough couple shooting games for Javon Hoffmer, but after the last game, you mentioned how you still like how he's playing. What is it about his game that you want to see him continue to do on the nights that he's not shooting well?
Yeah, offense comes and goes, Bryson. Sometimes you just have those nights. Even Darius McGee had a bad night or two. As a matter of fact, his worst one was at Kennesaw. So I he'll get out of it. He's really good. And the great thing about him is he won't let missed shots or whatever shooting percentage affect what he does on the other end, or the little things he can do when he's having an off night. He has this ability to compartmentalize like bad shooting nights and not let it affect who he is as a person or player. That's called maturity. So he's trusted by the staff, his teammates, and he and Talon have been instrumental in the season that we're having.
We knew Xander Yates could shoot it. What have you seen from him, even maybe this season, in terms of outside of that has gotten him some more opportunities?
Yeah, greater maturity. Xander and I, we went through some frustrations with each other that he navigated terrifically well, and he embraced what I was asking of him, and because of that, he's being entrusted with more opportunity, and I'm really pleased with what he's done. He and Gabriel have both morphed into these roles that, hey, we're going to star in these if that's what the team needs. Whether you need us for 10 seconds or 10 minutes, we're gonna serve in that capacity and still like take advantage of opportunities that our offense creates for them.
One of the stories around your team and also Conference USA last year was how difficult it was to win on the road. I think you all were 1-7 in conference play, but so far this year you've picked up a couple wins and also had some success in the non-con away from home. What is it about your team so far that they've been able to find, you all been able to find some success away from home?
Yeah, I don't know if I can put my finger on one thing, John. I think this group has a belief. I think some of the guys that went before them had that same belief, and last year we just struggled. We had to play near perfect to win, especially on the road. So I don't think that's the case this year. I think Bill, last time I checked, I think we're 99-10 at home over the last. So when you think about it, 2 of those 10 are this year, and we still have 5 to go at home. So if there's anything that we've been disappointed in is like not taking care of home court. The only way to recover from that is to go win on the road. And again, I think our guys are up for the challenge. This is a tough league to win on the road, but I think there's a couple of contributors. Colin Porter is a terrific point guard, and we've got an older group that's got some maturity about them. They don't stay in the muck, if you will. I think they have the ability to flush some of the mistakes and some of what causes your opponent's runs, and get to the other side of it quicker.
FIU has the big physical guards. You guys handle them pretty well. Kennesaw has a couple of guys, William Cottle, that are physical. They're bigger guys. Does that prepare you a little bit going into the match? I know they're different players. What do you kind of take away from how your guards defended FIU's guards?
Yeah, I think our whole league, Bryson, prepares you for playing against good opponents. Like UTEP's got some guards like that, and Mexico State as well. So I just think they have individual strengths, and the amount of ball screens and how physical they are, and in their front line is what will be something that we'll have to match, because Ware is huge. They come in off the bench with 3 or 4 guys that have athleticism and physicality, so, and that are good players. So, but again, like, we're used to that. It's I think our non-conference prepared us for it, and certainly it's been indicative of the first 7 games that, look, if you're going to have success in this league, you got to embrace the physicality.
We're approaching the midway point of conference play. 8 teams are currently separated by 2 games in the league standings. Have you ever been in a league that was maybe not this competitive, but just seems like any given night anybody can beat anybody?
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from the Archie Miller. Did you see that? It is really, really competitive. I haven't been in a league top to bottom. I'd be curious how many leagues in the country are like this right now. Sometimes I'll notice the records of games that I'm watching at home, and the other night, South Carolina was leading Florida wire to wire. Like, they led for 39 minutes and 55 seconds, and Florida won to avert their 3rd loss. They would have been 3-3 in the league, and they're 17-2 overall. And so it just reminded me of how hard it is to win in the league. There's another team that's ranked 15th and 14th, I think is Mississippi State, that just averted, being under 500. And so I just think that when you play in leagues that anyone can beat anyone, like, that's your lot. And you've got to be able to go to the next one without being indicted by the outcome of the former. And I also think if you are victorious, like, you can't think you've arrived. There's got to be an intentionality to, like, okay, what's next? But that's why, John, we're trying to focus on. I heard Pat Kelsey say, he says it a lot, that the most important day in the history of our program is today. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. Like, there's not much you can do about the past, and it's biblical. Like, we got to gather our manna for today. Hey, why?
Ed?
Hey, why? We could have got the pregame in right now.
Ed, you got anything on there?
Ritchie, can you hear me?
Ed, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you, Ed. I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Ritchie?
Yeah. I was penalizing you for not being here personally. Yeah.
Yes. Hidden but just
Now we do.
work, I guess, calls for that. You referenced the very beginning with going back to Kennesaw and being grateful that Amir got to experience a conference championship and going to the tournament. And you've referenced him, before, and obviously since his tragic passing. What impact has he had? What kind of relationship did you guys have as coach to Coach Peters?
Thank you for the question, Ed. I think it started when they were first in the league, and I think they lost every game, or maybe they won one, I'm not sure. And I just told him to stay with it, because I noticed the belief that his kids had. They were all young, and they played really hard, and they were very competitive, and they didn't give up. And I think when you're a young coach, or you're in your first head coaching job, there's a propensity to maybe look at that scoreboard and be identified by it. And I had some people along the way encourage me when I was on that journey first, and I felt like, man, he needed to hear that. So from that point on, like, we would talk, see each other on the road, had some really good games between one another. And then his last year at Kennesaw, like, we knew that group is good. They had a belief, they had a chip, and we ended up being on some calls together, and I admired the way he loved people. He really had this genuine concern for someone else's life, and I always respect that humility in other people. I'm inspired by it. So I miss him, and I think about him a lot, because we all kind of get lost in our everyday circumstances, And you can, when you do that, you can forget why you do it. And he's a great reminder to me of why you do it, because you never know your days that you're promised. And I'm respectful of the life that he led and the impact that he had on others.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.